A $500 rifle was never supposed to scare the $1,000 AR market. It was supposed to be the starter gun, the backup gun, the one people mocked online. But Palmetto State Armory did something the industry didn't expect. They made a rifle cheap enough for beginners, useful enough for regular shooters, and good enough to make expensive brands uncomfortable. And that's why the fight around PSA is getting louder. The story starts in a small gun shop in South Carolina. While premium AR manufacturers were perfecting expensive components and chasing military contracts, PSA was asking a different question. What if we could build a reliable rifle that normal Americans could actually afford? What if good enough could beat perfect? The answer would shake up an entire industry. In the early days of civilian AR-15 ownership, the market was simple. Cheap rifles were risky. Expensive rifles were serious. You paid for Colt or you rolled the dice. There wasn't much middle ground, and budget options came with warnings attached. Failures to feed, extraction problems, accuracy issues. The message was clear: spend more or suffer the consequences. PSA looked at that equation and decided to flip it. Instead of building the cheapest rifle possible, they focused on building the most reliable rifle they could sell for $500. The difference was everything. The breakthrough came when PSA realized most AR buyers weren't running 20,000 rounds through their rifles. They weren't mounting night vision systems or running hard training courses. They were shooting at the range on weekends, maybe hunting, possibly keeping the rifle for home defense. For that reality, a rifle didn't need to be perfect. It needed to work. The PA-15 became their proof of concept. When Pew Pew Tactical tested multiple PSA variants, they found reliability across the board. The rifles went bang every time. For a complete rifle priced under $500 with a lifetime warranty, that was a game changer. But PSA's real genius wasn't in the engineering. It was in understanding buyer psychology. Gun owners had been conditioned to believe that cheap meant unreliable, that you had to pay premium prices for basic reliability. PSA didn't just challenge that belief, they shattered it. The accuracy numbers tell the story. When American riflemen put the PA-15 through precision testing at 100 yards, the results weren't spectacular, but they were honest. 5-shot groups averaged 2.29 inches, with 55-grain ammunition. Heavier 69 and 77-grain loads tightened to 1.84 and 1.88 inches respectively. The best single group measured 1.64 inches with 77-grain AAC ammunition. Those numbers aren't match grade. They're not sub-MOA. But for a $500 rifle shooting from a bench at 100 yards, they're absolutely adequate for every task most AR owners actually perform. Hunting, target shooting, home defense scenarios. The PA-15 delivers the accuracy most people need at a price that doesn't hurt. That's where premium brands started feeling uncomfortable. It's one thing to compete against cheap rifles that don't work well. It's another thing entirely to compete against cheap rifles that work well enough. The psychological shift happened gradually, then all at once. New gun buyers stopped assuming they needed to spend $1,000 for reliability. Experienced shooters started questioning whether their expensive rifles actually performed twice as well as rifles that cost half as much. Online forums filled with debates about value versus prestige. PSA had exposed an uncomfortable truth. Many gun buyers were paying premium prices for premium features they didn't actually need. Precision triggers for casual shooting, expensive barrel coatings for low round counts, premium furniture for rifles that rarely left the safe. The Emperor's new clothes were suddenly visible to everyone. But PSA wasn't content to dominate just the budget market. They had bigger ambitions. The Sabre line proved that. Where the PA-15 attacked from below at $500, the Sabre attacked from the middle at around $1,000. The Sabre represents PSA's evolution from budget brand to value brand. It includes components from recognized manufacturers, Geisel gas blocks, Radian charging handles, and safety selectors. Magpul furniture. Microbest bolt carrier groups. The parts list reads like a custom build, but the price stays competitive with basic rifles from premium manufacturers. RECOIL's testing of the Sabre revealed the real threat to established brands. Over 1,000 rounds with zero malfunctions. Smooth operation with different ammunition types, From XM193 ball to Wolf steel-cased rounds to Black Hills match ammunition. Even exposure to dust and movement during a two-gun competition couldn't induce failures. This wasn't just a budget rifle that worked. This was a mid-tier rifle that performed like rifles costing significantly more. PSA had built a trapdoor under multiple market segments simultaneously. The warranty backing these rifles adds another layer of pressure on competitors. PSA offers a full lifetime warranty that extends beyond the original purchaser. Not a limited warranty, not a warranty with fine print exclusions, a lifetime guarantee that the rifle will work. That level of confidence in their product creates confidence in their customers. Traditional premium manufacturers found themselves in an uncomfortable position. How do you justify charging $1,500 to $2,000 for a rifle when customers can buy something that performs 90% as well for half the price? How do you explain why basic reliability should cost $1,000 when PSA provides it for $500? The honest answer is that premium rifles still offer advantages. Better quality control, consistency across production runs. Smoother gas systems with precise tuning. Superior triggers that break cleanly with minimal overtravel. Free-floating handguards with better mounting systems. More durable finishes that resist wear and corrosion. Higher confidence for extreme use cases. But here's the problem premium manufacturers face. Most AR buyers aren't extreme users. They're not running suppressed full auto fire. They're not deploying overseas. They're not shooting tens of thousands of rounds annually. For the typical civilian shooter, many premium features represent wants rather than needs. PSA understood this distinction and built their entire strategy around it. Provide the reliability everyone needs. Skip the features most people don't use. Price the rifle so more Americans can afford it. The result was a product that democratized AR ownership while pressuring the entire industry to justify their pricing. The market reaction revealed just how disruptive PSA's approach had become. Some manufacturers responded by improving their value propositions. Others doubled down on premium positioning. A few tried to compete directly on price, often with mixed results, but everyone had to acknowledge that the rules of the game had changed. Retail market investigations indicate consumer purchasing patterns have fundamentally shifted. Industry analysis shows that when buyers evaluate AR-15 options, facing price points ranging from $600 to $3,000, their baseline expectations are anchored by budget models. When data proves that a reliable, accurate rifle costs $500, the burden of proof shifts heavily to more expensive options. Sales metrics suggest the focus is now on explaining why additional features justify additional cost, rather than why basic reliability costs a premium. PSA's mission became clearer as their market share grew. They weren't just building rifles, they were expanding access to firearms for law-abiding Americans. Every rifle sold at $500 instead of $1,000 meant more people could afford to exercise their Second Amendment rights. The political implications were as significant as the commercial ones. The numbers support PSA's impact on the market. Their high-volume, lower-margin strategy allowed them to reach customers who might never have owned an AR otherwise. First-time buyers, who couldn't justify spending $2,000 on a rifle, could rationalize $500. That expanded customer base created a positive feedback loop, allowing PSA to increase production volumes and further reduce costs. Today, the PSA effect ripples through the entire AR market. Budget rifles are expected to work reliably. Mid-tier rifles compete on features and value, not just brand prestige. Premium rifles must clearly articulate why they're worth the additional cost. The lazy assumption that expensive equals better has been permanently challenged. The ammunition shortage of recent years actually strengthened PSA's position. When 5.56 ammunition became scarce and expensive, the ability to reliably cycle steel-cased ammunition became more valuable. PSA rifles' proven compatibility with various ammunition types meant owners had more feeding options during shortages. The competitive response from established manufacturers has been telling. Some introduced budget lines to fight PSA head-on. Others doubled down on premium features to justify their price tags, and a few tried to split the difference with mid-tier offerings. But nobody could afford to ignore how PSA fundamentally changed what buyers expect for their money. Walk the firing line at any tactical training course today, and you'll see the shift. The financial barriers that used to keep the average shooter out of advanced rifle classes disappear when the entry ticket is a $500 rifle instead of a $1,500 Safe Queen. More people showing up to train means a wider segment of the population is actually learning platform mechanics and limitations firsthand, turning casual owners into informed, demanding buyers. The used rifle market felt the squeeze immediately. When a brand new, reliable rifle costs $500 and comes with a lifetime warranty, used rifles from premium manufacturers can no longer coast on brand reputation alone. A used rifle that easily commanded $800 a few years ago now sits on the rack, forced to compete against brand new PSA setups at the exact same price point. Even local law enforcement has taken notice. Premium rifles are still the standard for specialized units and federal agencies, but smaller departments working with restricted municipal budgets are adapting. When the town council won't approve funding for standard-issue patrol rifles, PSA's pricing allows individual officers to reliably equip themselves out of pocket. In states facing intense legislative scrutiny over civilian AR ownership, PSA's pricing model proves that legally compliant, modern rifles don't have to be a luxury item. That flat-out changes the conversation around commercial accessibility, ensuring that equitable access to self-defense tools isn't restricted to wealthy zip codes. Behind the scenes, the rest of the industry had to scramble to catch up. PSA's heavy lean into automated production and standardized assembly forced other manufacturers to streamline their own processes. They either had to get more efficient or get priced out of the conversation. The ripple effect of a $500 rifle didn't stop at the firearms themselves. It completely rewired the accessory market. When a shooter drops $2,000 on a premium rifle, they often have to wait months before they can afford an optic, a weapon light, and a sling. But when the base gun costs a quarter of that, the leftover budget immediately goes into gear. Brands like Holosun, Primary Arms, and Streamlight saw massive growth precisely because PSA buyers actually had money left in their pockets to kit out their rifles. The budget, AR, practically subsidized the mid-tier optics industry. It also revived the culture of the garage builder. Let's face it, most people are terrified to take a punch and a hammer to a $2,000 rifle, let alone hit it with a can of camo spray paint. But a $500 PSA is the ultimate canvas. It became the default project gun. Shooters started experimenting with different gas blocks, swapping out triggers, and learning the actual mechanics of the platform without the paralyzing fear of ruining a massive financial investment. Then PSA took their manufacturing muscle in a completely different direction by acquiring the Harrington and Richardson brand. Instead of just sticking to modern tactical setups, they targeted the retro collector market. Building an old-school M16A1 or CAR-15 clone used to mean scouring internet forums for expensive, worn-out surplus parts with questionable historical provenance. Under the PSA umbrella, H&R started churning out historically accurate, brand-new retro builds for a fraction of what custom shops charged. They didn't just disrupt the modern tactical market, they completely cornered the nostalgia market. The political implications of this success extend well beyond individual gun rights. When more citizens can afford modern rifles, the political coalition supporting the Second Amendment becomes larger and more diverse. Rural hunters, urban defenders, suburban target shooters, and competitive athletes can all access the same basic platform at prices that don't strain household budgets. Critics often point to fit and finish details, comparing machining marks on a budget rifle to the polished surfaces of a premium model. But those criticisms completely miss the point. PSA never claimed to build the prettiest rifles on the rack. They built functional, reliable rifles at prices that threw the doors of modern firearm ownership wide open. And for the vast majority of buyers, that is the only distinction that matters. The warranty support behind PSA rifles addresses many potential concerns about budget manufacturing. When a company backs their products with lifetime warranties, they're betting on their production quality. That confidence translates to customer confidence, creating a virtuous cycle that benefits both manufacturer and buyer. Looking forward, PSA's influence on the AR market appears permanent rather than cyclical. They've established that reliable rifles can be manufactured and sold profitably at $500. That benchmark now exists for all competitors to consider. Future market developments will occur within the context PSA has created. It wasn't just the rifles that changed the game, it was how PSA built them. Instead of buying parts from outside vendors and slapping a logo on them, PSA's parent company, JJE Capital, bought the machines. They forged their own receivers. They turned their own barrels. They machined their own bolts. By cutting out the middleman, they eliminated the markups that inflate retail prices. It's not about cutting corners, it's about owning the factory. When you control the forge, you control the price floor. Suddenly, boutique manufacturers couldn't hide behind exclusive sourcing anymore. They had to start justifying their actual overhead. That massive scale also took aim at the industry's favorite gatekeeping term, duty grade. For decades, the unspoken rule was that if a rifle wasn't priced for a government contract, it was just a range toy. PSA proved that consistency is a natural byproduct of volume, not just a high price tag. A rifle doesn't need a prestige roll mark to defend a home. By stripping away the luxury tax, PSA forced a level of transparency the market had never seen. Shooters finally figured out exactly what they were paying for, and more importantly, what they weren't. The lesson from PSA's success isn't that expensive rifles are worthless. It's that basic rifle requirements can be met at budget prices when manufacturing focuses on essentials rather than luxuries. For buyers who need premium features, premium rifles remain the right choice. For buyers who need reliable function, PSA proved that reliability doesn't require premium pricing. The $500 rifle that shamed $1,000 competitors did so not by being perfect, but by being enough. Enough accuracy, enough reliability, enough warranty support, enough real-world performance. Once buyers realized that enough could cost $500, the old premium story started to crack. PSA didn't win by building better rifles than everyone else. They won by building good enough rifles for a lot less money. In a market where good enough satisfies most users most of the time, that was a winning strategy that changed the industry forever. The revolution wasn't in the technology. It was in the understanding that American gun owners deserved reliable rifles at honest prices. PSA delivered on that promise, and the market responded accordingly. The $500 rifle had shamed its expensive competitors by proving that reliability and affordability could coexist in the same package.